Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for attending this meeting this evening. We've been waiting here for a while because the full council meeting ended early, so we've been sort of just generally having a discussion. I was going to confirm that the protocols given earlier on will continue, but because of the delay, I will confirm that this meeting is being live streamed to YouTube. Remind everybody this meeting is being conducted in accordance with our standing orders, and we welcome members of the public and public participation. If anyone's got their mobile phone, could you please turn it off or onto silent, which I'm just doing now. There's no planned fire alarm this evening, so if the fire alarm does go off, please leave the building by the designated routes and meet outside the Chinese restaurant. Can I confirm that all the councillors here this evening have received their agenda? There's no other packs apart from just the agenda. Right, so obviously when we get to the voting situation, the voting protocol will be the raising of hands for approval, refusal or abstention. I would like to now, because this is an extraordinary meeting of the Planning Committee, I will declare this meeting open. And first item on the agenda is the public participation. I believe we have one person that's actually booked in to speak. This is you, Gordon, I believe. Would you like to come up to the microphone, switch it on? We normally only allow sort of 3 minutes, but I'll give you a bit of leeway. But if it goes on too long, I'll throw something at you. Okay, could you put the microphone on, please? Yeah.
Oh, so red means it's on, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Council, good evening. And thank you for the opportunity to speak for Save Rural Southwater and on behalf of 3,400 residents who have signed our petition opposing this proposal for Berkeley Homes. The same significant percentage of Southwater voting adults that have elected our MP, John Mill. This proposal is not for the benefit of Southwater community. It was rejected in 2022 when Berkeley Homes applied for 1,500 homes. HTC planning officers were going to refuse it and it was withdrawn. The same land has reappeared in the draft local plan at 1,000 homes and major issues have still not been addressed. Residents voted in 2021 to cap housing growth. This proposal is double the current neighbourhood plan that retains full legal weight. The draft HTC local plan is unadopted and unexamined. This proposal fails every infrastructure test. The A24 and railway are confirmed physical barriers to Southwater with no safe green routes to Horsham. The Hop Post roundabout is already at capacity. Berkeley Homes' proposal has a flawed traffic assessment, ignores over 1,100 homes that are already approved but not yet built. GP surgeries and dentists are already at full capacity. Barnes Green sewage works need significant upgrades, confirmed in Berkeley Homes' own documentation. Sussex is critically water stressed, and yet HTC and Southern Water usage planning numbers differ by 20%. Affordable homes costs far exceed average wages. Housing trusts need to be engaged to ensure affordability. This scheme changes Southwater permanently and irreversibly. Coalescence of Southwater with Christ Hospital resulting in suburban sprawl. Berkeley's proposed a second village hub, valid grounds for rejection. 141 acres of productive farmland gone permanently. Cortland Wood and Smith's Copse, ancient woodland under threat from Berkeley's drainage engineering. This alone is a rejection under NPPF. This application fails on every test. Southwater residents insist that the parish council oppose it. And if the council cannot stop it outright, then we demand reduced numbers to match the current neighbourhood plans. Binding NHS, sewage and water infrastructure obligations. And from Berkeley Homes, funding for roads, NHS and community infrastructure improvements before occupation, an A24 pedestrian and cycle bridge crossing to support a green route into Horsham, school buildings and resourcing, not just land gifted to the community, and an expanded single village centre at Lintott Square, potentially using land freed up by relocating and expanding the sports facilities currently at the Gill on land provided by Berkeley Homes to meet the needs of the community. So basically moving the Gill sports elsewhere. Please, councillors, work for Southwater as you were elected, not for Berkeley Homes. Reject this proposal. 3,400 residents are expecting you to support them, please. Please represent them and don't let them down. I can provide a supplementary report supporting these statements to view at your convenience should you wish, and every statement refers to NPPF, not local plans, so it stands in its own right. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much, Gordon, for those words. I mean, obviously, we have an application to take a look at, and we have to consider it in accordance with all material facts. And we will proceed now to take a look at the application, and by the end of the evening, we will actually vote on the application, depending on what the outcome of the discussions is. I'll say thank you, and if you could give a copy of that report to our executive officer when you leave this evening, and or now if you would, and I will make sure that is circulated to all the parish councillors. Before we go into sort of in-depth conversations on this matter, I really wanted to give a brief history of the situation as we find it at the moment, and this will also include a few key facts that we need to take into account on the application. There was an application submitted in October 2022, which was DC.
Mr. Chairman, apologies. Please, can we just do apologies of absence?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Apologies for absence and declarations of interest. Is there any apologies?
We have apologies from Councillor Moore and Councillor Stannard.
Thank you. Any declarations of interest that need to be noted? And I mean, okay. Is it a pecuniary interest or personal interest?
Personal interest. I live approximately 400 or 500 yards from the development, with 2 football pitches and a playground in between.
Okay. I mean, as I've said previously, a situation is that with planning situations is that there's very little situations that don't provide a conflict of interest of some sort of nature. So thanks for noting it. And I'm happy for Councillor to stay within the meeting. Okay, going back on to what I started off saying, a brief history is that there was an original planning application submitted in October 2022, which was DC 221915, correctly earlier on stated as 1,500 units with additional industrial units, and this was withdrawn by Berkeley Homes some 4 months later in February 2023. The application at that time was, and this is important that we understand what that application was, because we need to take a look at the new application. And that was an outline application with all matters reserved for a mixed-use strategic development to include the demolition of existing buildings and the erection of up to 1,500 dwellings, 15,700 square foot of flexible employment space, 2,900 square metres of flexible community facilities, educational facilities, sports facilities, 5 Egyptian traveller pitches, public open space, landscaping and infrastructure. Basically, this the 2022 site is very, very similar to the site that we have now to take a look at. This site has an application note on it saying outline planning application with all matters reserved except for primary access to highways for proposed development comprising of demolition of existing buildings and the construction of residential dwellings, class C2, C3, a mixed-use neighbourhood centre, educational facilities, business and employment floor space, redevelopment of existing agricultural buildings, including construction of a building for community use, improvement to public rights of way, sports pitches, gypsy and traveller pitches, and public open space, landscaping and associated infrastructure. This is one of the initial problems, is that in the previous application they actually made a defined number of units being 1,500. This application doesn't actually do that in the initial documentation. It does, however, in the body of the documents, provide up to 1,000 homes, comprising of 650 market dwellings, 245 from other, and confirms other areas. However, none of these figures appear in the operative description of the development. That's one thing we need to take into account when we sort of take a look at this application, is that if we go for an approval on the application, we are not actually defining the number of units that will be in the development. We also have a situation that Barclays, in their development documentation, have made various suggestions. One is that the neighbourhood plan is out of date. The neighbourhood plan still has weight up to the end of June 2026 and should properly consider to have that weight until that time. The situation is that for all normal purposes, this application should be dealt with prior to the end of June, which is our date of the neighbourhood plan becoming out of date. If it moves over that time, then we have a situation that we don't have the protection that we have at the moment on the neighbourhood plan. There have been various comments made, especially with the Horsham Golf and Fitness, that said that in the appeal that the neighbourhood plan has no weight. Well, it's far from that situation. The Secretary of State, after we made representation to them, said the inspector had made a mistake in Horsham Golf and Fitness, and we do still have material weight in the neighbourhood plan for some considerable time. The Horsham Golf and Fitness was approved at appeal, even though the inspector had made that mistake, on the basis that it wouldn't have had any material effect to the outcome of the application. However, a new application has to be read in conjunction with our neighbourhood plan. In this instance, I think it's quite obvious to everybody that the current planning application, apart from the problem areas that I've also described, conflicts with the neighbourhood plan and exceeds the allocation and extends the development beyond the built-up boundaries, and also causes a coalescence between Southwater and Christ Hospital. The emerging local plan is not in place yet and cannot be used to deal with additional housing on this application. All we have at the moment is the last local plan until a new local plan comes into place. The other problems with the development, apart from the ones that have already been mentioned, is to do with the amount of public open space that's being applied on the application, because it also includes the areas of roads are also in public open space, which isn't the way this should be dealt with. We also have problems with the neighbourhood plan, which conflicts with the building heights, and the moving of the school to the outskirts of the built-up area seems to be totally unsustainable. At this current time, I cannot see a situation that would allow us to put an approval through based on our neighbourhood plan. Obviously, I'm now going to open this up to any comments that any of the councillors would like to make on this application. Malcolm.
In the presentation we had with Barclays, where we visited and they showed the plans, it's highlighted that there are a number of parcels of land out towards 2 Mile Ash that had no development on them. I was unable to ascertain what the intention was for those parcels of land. And to this day, looking at the plan, I've still not been able to have answers for them. So one of my concerns would be if that the outline plan, the full wording of it does not include numbers, that will there be subsequent applications to build more houses in those parcels of land? So I have a grave concern there.
Yeah, I think the concerns are actually those concerns. I think are our concerns as well. To be honest with you, it's a situation that in this current situation, there's not been enough work done on the application to make it comply with the neighbourhood plan, which has weight. And in the neighbourhood plan, we have up to 450 units. This does increase the number of units within the Southwater built-up area boundary. And in this situation, without a local plan being in place and our duty to comply with that local plan, means that our neighbourhood plan would automatically state that we should raise an objection to this application.
I think very similar to what Councillor Berry said, that I think we all know we're being realistic about the whole thing. I think we all know that at some point there are going to be some houses put there, and we probably won't be able to get away from that. I think what we should strongly sit down with the Berkeley Homes guys and actually try and keep the village as much as we can a village, and therefore work with them or get them to work with us to make sure that the development that is there is in keeping, that it isn't just turned into a concrete jungle, that we do keep the green spaces, and say yes provisionally, but there is a big but that sits behind it to say that we want to make sure that we're working with you. But clearly, I think we were going to object to it in the first instance. And with regard to what you mentioned, and I'm right with you about asking for facilities for things like the surgery and places like that. If we ask for a school, we have to be careful, because if they give us a school, they would then want us to fulfil the pupils in that school. And the only way they could fulfil the pupils in that school is to build lots of houses to bring lots of families in. So we have to be a little bit careful what we wish for. If they put the houses there, then yes, we want the school, but that's not get the school before we get the houses, is all I would say.
Okay. I mean, some of you wouldn't know, but in November last year, we had a meeting with Berkeley Homes, which was a pre-application advice. And we raised various points with Barclays about the situation. One, that it wasn't complying with our neighbourhood plan, that we were 100% against the second village centre, and that they hadn't included enough sports facilities within their application to comply with what's required for the residents of Southwater. As existing at the moment, with the addition of another 1,000 families over a period of quite an extended period of time, admittedly, they still are not addressing the situation that there needs to be sporting facilities available for that area. It's also been pointed out to me this evening, just before this meeting started, that Sussex Police have also issued a very concerning letter that they wouldn't be able to police the development, and they would have sort of severe concerns if this development went ahead, and they can't actually provide the safety required with this development. That, to me, is a huge, difficult situation for any developer to get over, because it just doesn't affect the development that's going on. It affects the rest of the village. And with that coming out now, I think that, the developer will have to take a look at this total development, and we will be subject to a decision this evening. We will need to make strong representations to Horsham District Council on our views of the application, which are quite extensive. Some of them have been drafted already, subject to a decision this evening. In all the notes that I've gone through from advisors so far, there is not one point within there that would lead anybody to consider this application as being favourable to the residents of Southwater. The situation is that obviously the developer would be providing quite a lot of funding under Section 106 Community Infrastructure Levy, which could be used by the community. But if the community is so badly affected by the development, then this would be a false economy. So, are there any more comments on the planning committee would like to raise at this current time? Councillor Willis.
Having looked at the plans, I'm a bit concerned about the road structures that they're proposing to put in place, and the fact that they're going to have a shortcut from Southwater straight through to 2 Mile Ash, which could be used as a rat run for one, but also the layout of the road structure within the development itself. 2 Mile Ash is ostensibly a country lane at the moment, basically two-way traffic on there. If you're putting 1,000 houses there, people are going to increase the amount of traffic and the danger on that road. There's no pavements on those roads. It's going to be something the highways need to look into, I feel, and at the moment I don't think that is acceptable to use those roads for that number of vehicles. If you think every house now has at least 2 or 3 vehicles, potentially you could have another 3,000 vehicles using those roads, which is ridiculous. You know, it is. But, thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to make a proposition at this stage that we recommend a strong objection be raised against this application, against approval of this application, on the various grounds that I've mentioned, and also taking other grounds into account, which will be highlighted. If I could have a seconder on that application, please. Councillor Hatton. All in favour? Anyone against? Any abstentions?
Could I ask for...
Put the microphone in.
powers?
You can ask for anything.
I think it would be helpful if I request delegated powers to further enhance the key points that have been raised tonight into a more detailed objection.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I've just gone through it briefly. I'm proposing that the executive officer be given additional powers to enhance the refusal or the objection. Anyone? Can I have a seconder on that, please? All in favour? Yes, you have those powers.
I will work on a draft to circulate to the planning committee.
Okay. When is the cut-off time?
23rd, I think, of March.
Okay, thank you. I understand they will take something after that date, but I would like to get that in so that we're not excluded.
My recommendation would be to submit our initial objection, or the initial objection before that deadline, and if there's more information that becomes available, or we need to add anything after that deadline as a result of the planning committee on the 1st of April, then we can do so. Okay,
lovely. Thanks very much. Can I thank everyone for their time in sort of staying on this late in the evening? I think it was important that we had this meeting, important that we show that our feelings, that take into account the feelings of the residents as well as Southwater. Thank you very much for your time, everybody, and thank you, members of the public, for representing yourselves this evening.
Meeting end time, 9:22.